Don't take things personally, which is probably the hardest agreement and the one with the most potential. So you all know, because you've probably been studying this book for years and years and years, that the 4 agreements from Don Miguel Ruiz are Toltec wisdom from spiritual masters that lived thousands of years ago and continue to live today, mostly in southern Mexico. And the whole premise of their work is so relevant today because it's so difficult to know what the truth is and the difference between truth and fact, which is easily manipulated. Even science and research can be easily manipulated, and we think it's fact. But the whole premise of this work is that we're caught up in a very intense shared cultural dream, which is more like a nightmare because it does not represent the spiritual wisdom. In fact, this kind of intense cultural and religious propaganda, we might call the narrative of the dominant culture, intentionally limits the way we think and informs the way we perceive reality. There's some interesting research that's relevant here. If you get enough people together and you say an apple's a banana, the rest of the group are going to say it's a banana, and they won't deny it either. The puzzle for researchers is do they believe it? Have their minds somehow shifted the word banana to apple? And the same thing happens with color. If enough group of people in a room say it's blue, the rest of the room will say it's blue when it's really green. Do they believe it or not? They say they do. We have been born into this kind of false reality, raised by these thought police that taught us to believe untruths all our lives. It's a dog-eat-dog world out there. Get them before they get you. Money doesn't grow on trees. People that are poor, they just don't work hard enough. They have a lower vibration. Maybe they're cursed by God. Before I went to Palestine, my complete ignorance of the history of the Middle East kept me saying, what? Why? The first month I was there, I think they wanted to strangle me because I just had no idea. I would be going somewhere with this amazing human who had been given awards all over the world for his research and scholarship and has such an incredibly expansive mind that he and his Chinese Taoist wife, they took all their money from their Ivy League retirement and put it into this foundation for biodiversity and sustainability at Bethlehem University. And knowing nothing really but that I love these 2 people, instantly upon meeting them, that I wanted to help them. And I love to garden and I love animals. And so I went to a place that prior to that I had always said to myself, I don't want to go to the Middle East. Those people never get along. And I wasn't even sure that I believed Jesus was born in Bethlehem, because I'm an academic as well as a spiritual learner. And so I had learned all these things about the narratives in the Bible, especially in Luke, that were borrowed from the Zoroastrian tradition. So who knew what else they made up, right? And so it was just never interesting to me to go there. I just didn't have to do it. But I have to say, it is a very special place. with very beautiful people. And one day, I was so scared they were going to bulldoze Bethlehem, like they had bulldozed a lot of the villages around Bethlehem. All the signs were there. That I was at the place where they said Jesus was born, feeling this incredible vibration of love. And this thought came to me. They can bulldoze Bethlehem. All these buildings, the synagogues, the churches, all this diverse religious stuff here can be bulldozed to the ground. But they will never, ever touch the spirit in that town. And it's the same with us. What other people think about you, what other people say about you, is none of your business. They can never kill the truth, the capital T, and they can never destroy the spirit. We call it the Christ nature that lives in you. The physical reality may come and it may go. The spirit, the love, will always remain. Faith, hope, and love, these three. The greatest of these is love. Everything else will pass away. Whatever love you have cultivated remains. That's your soul inheritance. That's your greatest treasure. You know, these ways that we've been programmed to think, they determine for us what is good, what is bad, what is right, what is wrong. And recently, who is right and who is wrong? One of the most dangerous things that's being done is that one little thing that someone does gets exaggerated into this huge thing that makes them a bad person. As a psychologist, I know there are no bad people. There are people who do bad things, right? We are all one human family. And when we become domesticated, which is the word that Don Miguel Ruiz teaches, we become dominated, like obedient pets, not to think for ourselves or trust our gut or question the powers that be, but conform to the way things are and get our treats. Ram Dass, a spiritual teacher that had made many trips to India to study with his spiritual guru, tells this story. On the first trip to India, his guru told him, Ram Dass, love everyone. This is the greatest teaching. Love everyone. And Ram Dass said, I can't do that. I'm too judgmental. And on the second trip to India, his guru said, Ram Dass, love everyone and tell the truth. This is the road to enlightenment. This is your dharma. This is your path. Loving everyone is not easy, but there are no exceptions, because there is no pseudo-speciation. That's an Erik Erikson word, the great psychoanalyst. He said, we always try to make the human family into subspecies because of race, sex, class, whatever. There is no subspecies. That is pseudo-speciation. It's pseudo, it's false. We're all one. Equal and deserving. We have inalienable rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And when we practice this agreement, don't take anything personally, it helps to remind us that whatever it is I see out there is probably from me, not from them. And whatever they see in me is not necessarily the qualities that I am cultivating, but what is in them. There's a story, it's called the Hall of Mirrors. Do you know that story from the Eastern tradition? Yes? So there is this Hall of Mirrors, and a dog goes in. And the dog sees this other dog in the mirror and starts growling and baring its teeth. And then looks to the right, and there's another dog there, and it's fierce. So he bares his teeth and growls even deeper. And he starts looking everywhere, and there's all these dogs, and they're all growling at him. And he's growling back, and he's so afraid that he runs out of the hall mirror in complete fear and anger and frustration and full of hatred for these other dogs, full of fear of these other dogs. A saint walks into the Hall of Mirrors and sees another saint. Hi. Looks to the right, sees another loving person. Hi. Looks all around, and all they see are the presence of human, evolved, enlightened love beings. And everywhere they look, they get happier and more full of love. And they walk out of the Hall of Mirrors in complete peace. Don Miguel says it this way: nothing other people do is because of you. It's because of them. We can turn that around and say that nothing we do is because of other people. It's because of us. That's the truth. We like to blame other people. But while some judge others from their own moral standpoint, the wise look also at other points of view. Don Miguel says that all people live in their own dream, in their own mind, in a completely different world from the one we're in. I used to say when I was studying at Naropa University, there are as many forms of Buddhism as there are Buddhists. Because it's true, there are as many forms of unity as there are people in unity. And we like to joke as unity ministers that if you've been to one unity church, you've been to one unity church. Because we're all unique collections of unique people. And what's beautiful about unity is that, we don't have a hierarchy of people breathing down our necks telling us what to believe. One of the things I loved about what I was told about Charles Fillmore from James Philip Freeman, he said, what I loved about Charles Fillmore is he cared more about what you thought than what he thought. Isn't that a great teacher? He cared more about what you thought about your ideas about religion and culture and everything than what he thought. Swami Muktananda, a great teacher of meditation in modern times, said there are two things that will take a seeker straight to hell in consciousness: self-importance and seeking the good opinion of others. Don't you love it? Self-importance and seeking the good opinion of others. Because what happens is that we get trapped in our personal importance. We get caught up in the maximum expression of selfishness and arrogance, and all of a sudden it becomes entitlement and feeling better or smarter or more worthy than others. And this is the root cause of racism, injustice, and even wars. Because we make other people less than us, or we make other people our enemies. And Jesus taught us not to hate our enemies, but to love them, to bless those that curse us, and pray for those who despitefully use us. But when we don't do this, we create more conflict. We make something big out of something little. I mean, our whole news is making something big out of something little, I think, to divert our attention of what's really big that's going on in the world. It's so divisive. You know, that person said this, that person said this, that person did this, that person did that. One thing that is unforgivable, so we must destroy them. Right? I mean, it's just so crazy. In a universe of multivariant intelligences, right? I mean, that is the truth. Like, you can be the greatest football player in the world and have this kinesthetic intelligence and be dumber than dirt in other ways, right? You can also be really great kinesthetically and a gymnast and a graduate of Harvard University and have a big soul and love everybody. You know, those people are few and far between. The rest of us are like, you know, deficient in this one, medium in this one, working on that one, you know, because we are not completely integrated. And we might have the emotional intelligence of a flea, but still have a lot of intellectual intelligence, which is a really dangerous combo, right? Or vice versa, right? We can be very emotionally intelligent, but have no common sense, which is also very dangerous, right? So there's all these different things, you know, because we're not all whole yet, but we're working on it. And so instead of judging, that person's my enemy, that person's my enemy, that person's my enemy, like, I actually went into churches, not so much now, because I think we've all been brought to our knees, but I used to go into churches where they wanted to know, before they would ask me to speak, if I was a Democrat. I know, right? A unity church, right? And I was so shocked by that, and then it just made me laugh, you know, because it's a way of protecting ourselves, right? If everyone else just thinks like me, I had to realize I was in my own little unity bubble for years. I'd go home, and I have a very diverse family, and we were raised to be diverse, you know, and we were raised to listen to differences of opinion. My parents, you know, would bring us all together, 5 kids, even our friends. If there was an issue on the table, everyone had to listen to everyone else, and there was no conclusion. Everyone just left at the end of the discussion. Thank you for sharing. We'll all contemplate what you said. You know, so I learned that I can love people that completely disagree with me, you know, and I can listen to what they think and what they feel, and that changes me too. But today, oh my goodness, we have become so small and territorial and, you know, enemies of former friends because they think differently than us. It's something that we have to deeply contemplate. You know, what are we projecting on how that person looks? You know, how they appear to us. You know, don't judge by appearances. That means individually, but also collectively, because regardless of appearances, God is here, and everything is unfolding as it should, right? Some things that unity teach us are that whatever people do, feel, think, or say, we can return love. If they tell you you're wonderful, okay, you're wonderful, return love. If they don't believe that you're wonderful, okay, probably there's some parts of me that aren't wonderful. I will return love. Don Miguel writes about what happens when we do not take things personally. You can travel around the world with your heart completely open. You can say, I love you, without fear of being ridiculed or rejected. You can ask for what you want. You can say yes or no, and choose what fits for you without having guilt or self-judgment. You can choose to follow your heart. You can be in the middle of a war zone and still experience inner peace and happiness. I have met people that lost so many people they loved in recent times that it is unimaginable to me. And then I have met people that lost everything in their entire village and lost the village too, which is unimaginable to me. I mean, I'm still mourning the loss of my dog, you know? And some people are mourning, or I don't know how they do it, but have loss of hundreds of people they know, hundreds of people. Children, animals, plants, villages. It's unfathomable, really. Each of our lives are a universe. Each of our lives are unique. We come together in unity for each other. Unity is a path forged by the Fillmores and an ordinary group of people who went through 2 world wars and the Depression. We have to remember that. And their incredible faith kept them together. A small band of people who said, I'll pray for anyone, anytime, about anything. Right? Ordinary people who had life-changing experiences through prayer, silent meditation, group meditation, and group prayer, and group teachings, like just inspirational messages that came through different people. And the Fillmores attended them. And it changed Myrtle so much that she focused on this idea, I'm a child of God. I do not inherit sickness. I'm a child of God. I inherit perfect health. And it healed her of, at the time, what they thought was incurable tuberculosis, and lived 40 years longer than her prognosis. I have faith in you. The unity movement, the people in it, is something I have faith in. I believe that our shared commitment to the path, to the practices, and to the practicing community can change the world, can change us, can change the communities that we live in. Because I know that in the beginning, you and I were born in love. And in the end, we're going to return to love. But right here, smack in the middle, we get to practice. That's the most important thing we can do with our lives. Practice loving acceptance of everyone. And hold a space for that, for people to come on in and to say, we accept all of you. We welcome all of you here. Not just everyone, but all of everyone. Good, bad, ugly, and in between. So, thank you for inviting me today, and I will keep you in my prayers and see you growing and unfolding in the light of God and being the lights that you are and nobody else is.